A six-pack has a special place. You know, 3 carburetors on a 440. And you know, when you're driving a six-pack or a 6-barrel, when you floor it and when those outboard carbs open up, then whoa, whoa, the 6-pack opens up and it goes like a rocket.
Nick's Garage is supported by Atlas Equipment and K-Tool International. At Nick's Garage, automobiles are so much more than just appliances for transporting people and things from location to location. They're increasingly rare works of mechanical art, worthy of preservation and respect. For Nick, these aging engines are at the center of a lifelong passion that continues to burn to this day. Today in Nick's dyno room, the automotive art in question is embodied in Chrysler's celebrated 6-barrel. It only rolled off the production line for a few short years, decades ago. But it will live forever in the lore of the muscle car.
Hi, I'm Nick, and welcome to my shop. We had this engine on the dyno before. This is a 446 barrel that belongs to Matthew with the 69 Roadrunner convertible. You know, he just bought the car last year and they told him that the engine was already rebuilt. But you know, he wanted to make sure it ran well. So what he did is he took the engine out of the car, he brought it here a couple of months ago, and he told me, Nick, you know what, run on the dyno, I want to see how it runs before we rebuild it. So we installed it on the dyno, we did some tests, and everything looked pretty good, except we found that the no choke and the carburetors were not tuned right. And he made something like about just over 410 horsepower. Compression was good, doesn't burn no oil, he had no leaks. So we said, you know what, why does it need a rebuild? It doesn't need a rebuild, so we left it alone.
So rather than charge his client for an unneeded engine rebuild, Nick sent the 6-barrel setup off to the carb guys in Ontario for some of Donnie Oak's attention. Now Nick's got the rebuilt carbs back on the 440, and he's eager to see that choke mechanism working as it should.
I've got the carburetors installed. I checked for a few leaks last night. I got the fuel lines on. Everything went well. The distributor's already timed. We've done it before. I've marked it before I did the paint job when I removed the distributor, then reinstalled it. So it should start. We've got fuel in the carburetor. All I want to do is start it, make a fast idle check, and check the air fuel ratio on idle, and let's see how it goes. We want to make sure, because I had the intake manifold removed. I also had the intake gasket replaced. I punched a hole here to get the heat to the choke thermostat. But to get this thing to work with the automatic choke, we need a lot of heat that goes through the intake. But in this case, the exhaust manifold has no heat raiser valve to help the heat go through the intake, which is going to have to let it run a little bit longer to heat it up. So now that it's a cold engine, as you guys can see, it is a cold engine. We're going to start her up, warm it up, see how long it takes, and see if the choke opens up. And this is exactly the same setup I've done on my Kowalski Challenger. No heat raiser valve, open on one side on the intake gasket with the automatic choke and a choke pull off and a rebuilt car by Don Oak, and it works like a champ. So I'm hoping that this works the same way. Got the choke in place, no fuel leaks, everything's good, and let's get it started. Okay, now, cold engine, 2 shots of gas, and it should be on fast idle. Here we go. Actually, on the choke, fast idle. Should be close to 1800 RPM. Let's hope it does. Here we go. was hoping to get at least 15, 1600 RPM. I'm at 13, 14. I'm gonna try to adjust it later on, but in the meantime, I want to see how far we're gonna go with this. No, I'm gonna give it a few minutes, maybe 5 minutes or so. I want to make sure that the choke opens up all the way, and then the RPM should come down, which I don't know, it should be around 800 or something. But anyways, it's here for that reason, for me to tune it, adjust it to what we want. So let me get it warmed up now. Now that I know it starts on a choke and a fast idle with 2 shots of gas. And if you notice, I'm not using a rag. It's working on its own. And I'm not turning on the water pump all the time, so it can heat up a lot quicker, like so. Because we don't have a thermostat in this. So I just want to make sure it doesn't stay too cold. We're at 138 degrees Fahrenheit on the water coolant. Well, you know what? Give it time. We'll see how it goes. Seems to be running a bit lean. But you know what? Give it time. We'll see how it goes. And the RPM should drop. Okay, now we gotta do the idle. Air fuel ratio on the front carb. Now we saw the air-fuel ratio on idle was very lean. And if you guys noticed that the center carb, I opened up the screws to get a richer mixture and it didn't get any richer. So now this six-pack needs help to be richened out. The outboard carburetors also have an air-fuel ratio for idle only. You notice that I opened up the screws a bit on the front carb and it turned a bit on the richer side. Now I got to open up the rear carb. In other words, open up the screws a bit to richen it out a bit, but to do so, I have to remove the rear carburetor to do this. It's going to take me some time, and I'm just going to make half a turn like I did to the front to see on idle what mixture we're going to get. So we're going to shut it down. Let me take off the rear carb and take it from there.
In high speed, from the overhead camera, you can see the choke is working fine and opens up as the engine comes up to temperature. But one of the unfortunate complications of multiple carburetors comes into play, as Nick now has to completely remove the rear outboard carb to make a simple adjustment.
They're located on the base of the carburetor, underneath, deep inside. It's a very, very small screw. Now I have to do the same for the rear carb, but if you guys take a look, there's no way I could put a screwdriver in there. So in this case, I got to remove the carburetor, turn it counterclockwise about almost half a turn, put it back on, start her up, and see what happens.
Nick was really hoping that he'd not have to start pulling things on the freshly repainted engine apart again. But he knows it's what has to be done.
All right, so I just installed it. I opened up the air-fuel ratio screws a little bit, my mixture screws. So now I just want to put the fuel pump on, make sure there's no fuel leaks because I slacked off a few lines. If it's all good, let's get it started and let's see how the air-fuel ratio is on idle. I hope there's no fuel leaks. Okay, now I'm going to put it on. I just want to get it to idle. Okay, here we go. We're not sure yet. that's exactly what I want. Okay, so we got the air fuel. I got the tilt to work. It's going good, it's going good. Okay, I'm ready to make one full throttle, wide open throttle test, but first of all, I want to make sure the absorber is adjusted to my engine because every engine needs an adjustment. Because the last engine we had up here was a small block 340. So let me try the absorber and we'll take it from there. Here we go. We're gonna take this at, just to show you guys, we're going to start at 2800 and take it to 5200 at 300 RPMs per second. Okay, here we go. I got the air fuel ratio what I wanted. So far so good. Okay, I think we're ready. Here we go. Here we go. Something came off. My throttle rod. Okay. Okay. And, well, let me adjust the absorber, but first I gotta make a full throttle test. Here we go. Here we go. Wow. Okay, I want to check my air fuel ratio before I do anything. Air fuel ratio, wow. Wow. Way too rich. Look at that, 10.8, 10.9. Running way too rich. I like to get it high 12s, 13 flat, but in this case it's way too rich. This is no good. I'm gonna start tearing apart things now. I'm gonna make one more test just to see, okay? All right. Okay, here we go. Let me make sure the idle works. It's running too rich on full throttle, so I'm gonna have to take apart these carburetors. Okay. Well, I finally got the air-fuel ratio to work properly on idle. Got the choke to work the way I want it. The only problem is I got a full throttle, very, very rich. It seems to be running way too rich. You know, we got exhaust manifolds. It's a factory setup. It's basically a stock cam. Like I said earlier, I did not build this engine. I don't know what cam is in there. It's got a good vacuum on idle. Question is, why is it running so rich? And you guys, I just want to show you guys a 6-pack with the choke running. And if you guys can see now, the door is wide open. You got some heat on the choke thermostat. This is exactly what I wanted. I got the idle to 14 and a half, 100 RPMs on fast idle with the choke. Gave it gas, brought it to idle. Got the fuel mixture perfect on idle. So now all I want to do is lean out on full throttle, lean it out, and then that's it. Besides that, it's all good. You know, I'll tell you one thing. Sometimes the 6-pack a little bit delicate to tune, but you know, I've done a lot of them. It takes time. Sometimes you get it first shot, sometimes it takes a little bit of tuning, but I'll get it right. I'm sure I will. I got no vacuum leaks. I'm gonna, you know, the most important thing is if you can get the idle, air fuel ratio is good on idle, then you can take it from there. You know, after all, after doing the test, I saw a 10.9, 11.0 air fuel ratio at full throttle. Why? It's a bit too much. I'm not crazy about it, but you know what? Let it cool down. I'll look into it later on. This is the reason why we put them on the dyno, you guys. You know, my customer wanted to make sure it runs perfect. You know, he just wants to take it, one piece, throw it in the car, and it's already tuned on the dyno. So, in other words, I just gotta lean it out on full throttle, and that's it. Well, it's gonna be an easy fix, I'm sure. I want to look at the jets in the center carb. What I know is that I have to remove it because I cannot remove the flow bowl. So when it comes to a 6-pack, when you want to talk about air fuel ratio, yeah, it's time consuming, let me tell you. But when it's done right, it's awesome.
Nick knows that he's almost got the gorgeous 446 barrel tuned to its awesome sweet spot. To tackle the last issue of running rich at full throttle, he makes adjustments to the floats on each of the 3 carburetors, and then puts the engine back through its paces on his dyno.
So all I did was I dropped the float levels a little bit, just at the level of the screw. Usually I'll go a little bit higher than that. So Don told me to lower them a bit, which I did. And I did another blast, and I finally got my air fuel ratio to back where it used to be, which was in the mid-low 12 ratio wide open throttle. I got the air fuel ratio perfect on idle. So that's the best we can do, and that's what it is from the factory. It is all factory. I got the choke to work. I got everything working good. I looked at the plugs, they're not black. So I can't ask for anything more than this. So the next thing we do right now is have it put into the car, come back and take it for a drive. The only thing I'm disappointed about is some of the paint came off on the intake manifold here, and I just got to retouch it up. But anyways, now that the carburetors are running fine, I'm happy, I'm done. And there you have it. Thanks for watching. See you on our next garage. And you guys, if you look down below the video, we have a whole bunch of merchandise that you guys can buy. So whatever you like, buy it, love it, wear it, and enjoy it. And help spread the word of Nick's Garage. And if you have some time, check out our Patreon page. We have extra content and you guys can watch it and take it from there. And we'll see you next time.